Welcome, everyone. This is Pound News, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest with LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week, I am joined by Cinders.
Hello.
Hello there, Cinders. Are you ready to go through some patch notes?
Probably not, but let's do it anyways.
We'll do it anyways, yes. That's right, because this week we had the release of Update 44, the Crown of Hamat. It appears that the LOTRO website is acting up today.
I have it. Do you want me to read it? Since I have it open and it loaded.
Okay. I have got them finally.
Oh,
All right.
perfect.
They have finally decided to, if you really would want to.
I can read them if you'd like. I wouldn't complain.
Anyway, maybe I'll bounce a couple of them off of you for them.
Okay.
All right. We'll begin with, first off, a special note. We are celebrating 18 years of LOTRO. The Lord of the Rings Online is celebrating its 18th anniversary with free gifts and new rewards. To learn more about our anniversary list, you could see their guide on lotro.com. Even our character selection screen on the non-legendary worlds is celebrating our anniversary with a new track celebrating the game's music journey. The anniversary event begins on Thursday, April 24th, which is already passed. So therefore, it is already active and continues until 3 o'clock on Monday, May the 12th. That's really going to be cutting things close because one of the known issues is with a certain aspect of the anniversary. And the new anniversary rewards include the anniversary festival barter, includes Tome of the Baker's Delight Cub, Steed of the Baker's Delight, Shoes of the Baker's Delight, lots of things with Baker's Delight. So, of course, the hat, the jacket, the leggings, the garments, gift wrapped selection box, the dining table, the dining chair, and, of course, the banner. So, all these things for a Baker's Delight. And also, the festivity anniversary barter includes ceremonial staff of the searcher, the ceremonial spear of battle, the ceremonial boar-tooth dagger, the ceremonial sword of the mountain, ceremonial bow of the hill, ceremonial cleaved halberd, and ceremonial great hammer of runes. The anniversary steel token barter includes Baker's Delight fireworks, which is a consumable, and then the Lucky Stealer fireworks, which is another consumable firework. And as for 18th anniversary gifts, players who received the 17th year gift box last year will receive the 18th year gift box this year. Players will get the next yearly and a gift based on the prior year that has been claimed, of course. But the new stuff that they're adding for those who have been around since day one are the Free Peoples of Middle Earth, the Baker's Delight fireworks, 18-year frame, and the title Luck Maker. And the monster players get Luck Stealer fireworks, 18-year frame, plus 5% attack damage times 5 consumable, and the title Luck Stealer. So one likes to make luck and the other one likes to steal luck.
Shocking which is which.
Yes. So the 18-year gift box can be claimed by eligible players until 3 a.m. Eastern on April 1st, 2026 by logging into the game. That means that at least one of your characters has to log into the game between now and April 1st next year in order to get the latest one and count as claiming one of the years, because what happens is that next year's is always based on which one you opened up this year. So if you opened up your 17th last year, then this year you open up your 18th if you open up by May 1st. I mean, not by May 1st, by next year, April 1st, and so on. I think we got all that down. So let's go and see what the actual updates are in addition to the anniversary. First of all, update 44 is The Crown of Hamad, a new quest pack, is available for free to PIPs. Crown of Hamad unlocks 50 quests and deeds, 10 new missions, so only 9 of them seem to be active at the moment. A 6-player instance that's arriving on May 7th for level 150 characters, and more. Explore the Ikraband Valley and fight for the Crown of Hamad. The Ikraband Valley is under threat from a new evil. Learn the story of Mizadi Shara of Hamat renewed as she fights for her people and attempts to bring peace to Shagana. Bring the fight to the Hamati invaders with 10 new missions. As I said, there are really only 9 at the moment. In Iridir in Ambarul. Then fight evil Akamadi leaders in a new 6-player instance in Dun Shuma, the king's fortress in the deserts of Kudzagin. But as I said earlier, that's not arriving until May 7th. The Dun Shuma instance, right. The starting quest, a message from Mizadi, is available upon logging in with a notification of the quest actions available panel. Once acquired, players can reach Mizadi in Urbach in Impular in the Ikraban Valley. And there is a port that goes pretty close to her if you have all the ports for that particular region. Also, visit the new Hamati Quartermaster in Iridir in the Ikraban Valley for new rewards, including housing items, Tome of Evergreen Sicklefly, and Tome of Rustic Corky, available from completing Crown of Hamat quests and missions. All right. But I'm presuming, though, that's only available to the high level characters, even though some of them are pets in there. I presume because that's for the rep vendor, and you can't get the rep until you are at a higher level. I think we just got started on that, but it was a bit too crowded there, and we decided that maybe we'll wait until things calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about why it bothered me so much, and I realized, like, the last one, you're in the middle of cities, and cities are supposed to have lots of people running around. And then when you're out in the middle of nowhere, and there's like 10 people who run past you all of the same questions you, it's like, wait a second. It's immersion
Yeah,
breaking.
it's immersion breaking. Everybody doing the same quest at the same time. Also, Lalia's Market has been updated. Lalia's Market has received a major renovation and update. Not content with the close and cluster content, sorry. Not content with the close and claustrophobic halls, Lalia has employed Rob Thornley to help with sprucing up her humble mark, which is why Thornley's site has never been finished. Oh, okay. Hence why his workshop remains incomplete after 18 years. Okay, they actually said the same thing in parentheses right after that. Okay. Within, you will find a more distinct layout and a variety of vendors offering cosmetics, including brand new housing items, replicas of no longer available legendary weapons, and many of the items previously only available in the LOTRO store. With these changes, Latia's Market is well positioned to grow and introduce new or rotating items for players to obtain. So this is how we're finally going to be able to get those old legendary item looks that some people have been begging for a while. And also, we introduced the homesteading coins. In addition to all the changes that Lalia's Market Update 44 introduces homesteading coins. This new currency is intended to be a more flexible than premium housing rents and will eventually completely replace the currency for the purposes of premium housing purchases, refunds, and LOTRO store bundle purchases. For the launch of Update 44, players can exchange their Mithril coins and premium housing writs and can use homesteading coins to purchase the new housing bundle packages found in the housing wing of Lalia's Market. In future patches, the homesteading coins will completely replace premium housing writs as an alternate premium housing purchase currency, refund currency for premium houses, and in the LOTRO store. Also, concerning reputation, as we said last week when we were reading the prep notes, the release of the Legacy of Morgoth in 2024 brought a new VIP feature to players, and that players is now being expanded to nearly all of the reputations throughout the game. The favorite reputation system grants all players in a VIP account a bonus to earn reputation once at least one character of your account has achieved at least friend rank within a reputation faction. Newly added reputation factions in Update 44 are listed in here, and it is a long list. We have the Men of Bree, the Council of the North, Thorns Hall, Wardens of Illuminus, the Eglain, the Rangers of Esteldine, the Madam Society, Elves of Rivendell, Defenders of the Angle, the Eldang, Los Atafuahel, Iron Garrison Guards, Iron Garrison Miners, Galadrim, Maladrim, the Grey Company, Aldrake, Men of Venedwide, Men of Dunlin, the Eldred's Riders, the Riders of Stangard, Heroes of Limelight Gorge, Men of the Wold, Norcrofts, Sudcrofts, and the Entwash Vale, People of Wildemore, Survivors of Wildemore, the Erlingus, the Helmingus, the Ents of Fangorn Forest, Dol Amroth. This does not include the sub factions of Dol Amroth because you had all those factions to the various buildings in Dol Amroth. Those are not included. It's just the main Dol Amroth rep. Pelargir, men of Ringlow Vale, men of Doran Ernil, men of Lebanon, Rangers of Ithilien, Defenders of Minas Tirith, Riders of Rohan, Host of the West. This does not include any sub factions of the Host of the West. The Conquest of Gorgoroth, the Men of Dale, the Elves of Thelagoth, the Dwarves of Erebor, the Grey Mountains Expedition, the Wilderfolk, the White Company, Reclamations of Minas Ithil, the Great Alliance, March on Gundabad, the Gabilacha, the League of the Axe, the Woodcutters Brotherhood, the Havanaka of Thrain, Karam Ubnar, the Reclaimers of the Mountain Hold, the Yonder Watch, Dunedain of Cardalon, the Stewards of the Iron Home, the Renewal of Gondor, and the Citizens of Umbar Baharbel, and of course the latest factions, the ones in the Ecorband Valley, they already had the system, so they're not on the list because they were the first ones to actually get it. So it's essentially it's everybody except the sub factions. You still there?
I am.
Okay. I thought you fell asleep on me for a moment there.
No, I'm actually doing pretty good staying awake, so.
Okay. Very well. Maybe you could read the what's coming on with events.
I can do that. Also, Sam says quest texts are kind of written like you're the only adventurer, only doing exceptions if the quests are meant for a group. Then suddenly there are more adventurers. And also, hi Sam, and hi Mary Rose. Events. A change to the Thorns Hall Hardtack event now provides an uncooked version of the dish, brew, and snack before using the ovens. You will not get the final product until the item is successfully delivered to the tables. They've also reworked the Combe Forester event as follows. The event begins every hour on the hour. Call will go out to Breland when the event starts recruiting, and recruiting will last for 10 minutes. Axes still need to be collected. Using the wood piles while you have the axe will grant you unrefined wood. Using the competition workbenches while you have the event axe will grant you refined wood. Aldeith will collect the axe and the refined wood before you move to the next stage. You must have a tool that allows skinning, universal or a forester's axe equipped to skin the bears. You must have a tool that allows skinning, universal or a forester's axe equipped to refine the bear hides. The event countdowns, cooldowns, and statuses should no longer fall out of sync with the servers. The whetstones obtained from the forester event now appear as crated items in the auction house and also can now be removed from your mail. But they didn't have to shut down the whole event to do this. Like, it didn't go away. It still is happening.
Right, but
they are still making changes, trying to figure out how to keep it fair and fun for everybody.
how to keep people from cheating.
I I'm there's a part of me that's like, what does this have as a reward that is worth trying to cheat on it? Like, are the rewards
It's an
really that
MMO.
good? Well, yes, but I feel like if you're going to go to that much effort to circumvent the process, like there must be something good at the end that you really want.
I think luck stones.
Okay, that might be worth it to some people.
Yeah.
Not worth it to me. I've clearly never played the event.
Well, the but you always you got all the luck stones you wanted through the crafting system. You know,
Well,
through
I
the
would
guilds.
like more, but I didn't care enough to actually like be dedicated to getting all the ones I could through the guild system either,
Okay, good
because
point.
I decided that if I was going to be in the game, I was not going to be grinding like that. Like, if I thought about it, I'd do it if I had the stuff. But I wasn't like, I have to do this or I'm not going to be okay for the rest of the day. Like, no. I have too much going on to be that focused on that specific thing. Like, it was too much work. So I was like, I'll survive. M's doing fine.
Okay. Then let's head into classes and skills. We're on Guardians. Retaliation now has extra verbiage explaining that it cannot be used while specialized in the Keen Blade. All right. That actually might relate more to me than to you because I was always wondering what is this retaliation thing and stuff like this, why it's not deep. And of course, because I'm in the Keen Blade, so but it never
So
bothered
what
saying. I eventually figured out that's why it wasn't why it never came up or anything like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then on Lore Masters, the Lore Master, the Aurochs pet should now interact correctly with all Lore Master traits and skills. And I'm assuming that the Aurochs pet they mean is the Spirit Aurochs because I know of no other Aurochs pet that Lore Masters have.
Yeah.
And don't you touch him is no longer erroneously cleansable. And as for Runekeeper's Static Surge now has a 10 target cap limit. It will now correctly benefit from traceries and other bonuses to target counts. All right. And as for combat and monsters, Goblin Sappers and the Veils of Anduin no longer stay in an over the head pose after throwing their fire pots. Applying a new daze to an already dazed target will no longer cause the daze visual effect to be removed, and Gunabad Bat Riders now have a bat specific animations for their special attacks. And all versions of the Umbari Feast have been standardized to a minimum level of 141 with no maximum level. I've forgot what their minimum levels were. That was so strange. So I believe that that is a fix of some sort. So, what were changes for quests, steeds, and adventure areas?
Teligan Silvertongue will no longer turn to face you when he is kneeling in the elf tutorial instance, the refuge of Adheliona. The Lothlorian quests, Malberthil saplings, and songs for the saplings should now function correctly. The quests on a mission weekly and on a continuing mission weekly have been updated to accept the new crown of Hamat missions. And the quest Forging a Path in the Ikrabon Valley weekly has been updated to remove the bounties and instead accept new Crown of Hamat missions. Completing either existing Ikrabon Valley or Crown of Hamat missions will progress the quest. Note, this will version these weekly quests upon release, causing weekly progress to reset.
Yes. So I hope you weren't on 14 of 50, or 40, or even worse, 44 of 45 just before the update.
If I was, I don't know it.
All right. For instances and skirmishes, hotspots have been visually updated for clarity. Tools Zakana, the Will of Forgetting, or the Kai Sorcerers in the Will of Forgetting no longer attempt to use a shadow skill for which they do not have appropriate animations. Consuming Fire now has a slightly longer delay before it activates, and Consuming Fire damage has been reduced by 20%. In the Temple of Utogbur, Thorgruth, the Death Grip skill, now used by crawling arms on tier 3, now has the correct AoE size and shape, 120-degree angle at a 3-meter range. Thurheen, Weeping Poison, now deals acid damage. Eruption can no longer target Legolas. Frenzied Axe now correctly tears up a bleed. Shield of Blood now prevents blood rupture. Plague Aura damage reduced on tiers 2 and 3, and reduced the number of mobs that can apply the targeted Purge Hope effect. As for adjustments for the boss 2 at all tiers, nodules reaching blisters will now apply a stun to players for 5 seconds and apply a tier of true despair to players in a slightly larger area. Nodules reaching blisters will now explode and deal raid-wide damage. Nodule damage from exploding is increased, and if no blisters or fragments are available for nodules to attack, they will now default to attacking players or pets. And as for adjustments to bosses 2 at tier 3, the skill Drain Reason will now randomize targets when it is multicast. This should reduce a single target being hit all of the skills played simultaneously. There was an effect appearing on players that should not have been visible in the Temple of Utugberg Wing 3. This effect is now hidden. Setting an instance to duo will now be based on solo difficulty and rewards rather than 3-person values. And note that duos can still freely play 3-person mode if they desire the additional challenge. Now, unfortunately, they had misaligned this. They had accidentally put that under Boss 2 Tier 3 under Temple of Utagberg, while those are, I believe, is a general change. Since, of course, there is no duo version or solo version of Temple of Utagberg. But I believe that's a general one, so that now duos are based on the solo mode rather than on the 3-player mode. All right. You want to take on what's happening on the Legendary Worlds for Mirkwood?
Sure. Endgame group content has been updated for the release of Mirkwood on the legendary servers Angmar and Mordor. Base health and damage have been increased for most monsters found within level 65 endgame instances, including those from the Mirkwood and in their absence content clusters. These changes should help make those instances harder to complete without full groups when played on level. In particular, the level 65 instance tiers have been updated so that the Tier 2 enhancement buff has values more similar to Tier 2 mods found in later instance clusters. Tier 1 should likewise provide an easier stepping stone for any groups that struggled with level 60 instances after they were updated. Specifically, the Workpins has only statistical changes at this time. Sword Hall of Dol Guldur, statistical changes only. Dungeons of Dol Guldur, statistical changes only. Samath Ghul, statistical changes only. Barad Guldur, knockbacks from mace-wielding armors are less likely but have longer cooldowns. Shadow Seed's damage has been renamed so that it is more clearly associated with its source skill. The corruption auras applied by the Lieutenant of Dol Guldur once again correctly debuff different damage types. Slowing Shadows reduces range damage, Draining Shadows reduces melee damage, Corrupting Shadows reduces tactical damage. Stoneheight, all of the corruptions that bosses gain over time are now more potent. Backstabber Goblins now have backstab and bleed skills. Gundul's ally buff skill now has an interruptible induction and heals allies. Bubhashgrat, morale bubble potency has been dramatically increased. Pull skill now only targets players at range. Grinding Bones damage now has a small amount of resistance penetration. Bubhashgrat will now wait 5 minutes before using Champion's Rage. Dale Truit, Flashing Knives is now a much smaller AoE that does some base damage to any player hit and still deals bonus damage to his current target. Flashing Knives is no longer interruptible on Tier 2. Dale Truit will now stun his target only if that target is at range, and can now periodically daze any player at range. North Cotton Farm. Legbarthel's hatchling heal potency has been significantly impacted. The egg will hatch after 5 seconds rather than 10 seconds. He can now lay more eggs on low health. She can now lay more eggs on low health and now gains power each time she lays an egg. That must be the spider. Thador, the
Ah,
Dark Thorn skill should once again work as intended. Impering on Tier 2 spiders and goblins will be summoned periodically throughout the fight. Time allowance before Thador's brew is complete has been reduced by 2 minutes. Sorry, Surma, Cold Bear. Removed a few inductions to speed up Cold Bear's overall skill usage. Significantly altered both shout skills so that Cold Bear now gains power as intended until using Roar of the Damned. Cold Bear's Reflect now has an induction, and the Reflect only lasts for 5 seconds. Osan fixed a couple key skills and renamed a couple effects so that it's clear which skills are gained from which auras. Removed aura skills from shared cooldown, set different cooldowns for key skills based on instance tier. Essence of Blood, damage over time, now has a name which matches its skill. Essence of Frailty now has a unique debuff effect that is also named appropriately. And the Lesser White Reflects only return 5% of incoming damage to the players. Drogoth fixed a few issues with Drogoth's class-specific skills. Specifically, the Brawler and Mariner skills now play only when the corresponding skill is being locked down by spirits, and all class-based skills should be used more consistently. The spirits also gain short buff when they spawn to help improve their defenses and give a little more breathing room for Drogoth to use a stolen skill before the spirits are killed. Several Guardian and Drogoth skills were adjusted to reduce the number of knockbacks in this encounter significantly, and the Frozen Floor now deals damage and applies a permanent debuff to players' hit. In the Lost Temple, the Virulent Plague happens 33% more frequently, and the time before Ferndor fills the room with poison has correspondingly been reduced from 11 minutes to 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Austin Hoth, Gortheron now reaches maximum power much more quickly, and his power effects are less potent and more clearly named. Gortheron should no longer benefit from player group buffs and heals.
whew, that was a mouthful.
Da, 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 da.
Let's go into missions and delvings, where rubble piles in the Gunabad mission clearing a path can no longer be forced to turn with the burglar diversion skill. In fact, I believe we named last week's episode after that little patch note.
Right?
Yeah. And mission banners, catapults, and siege towers destroyed in the missions in the Before the Shadow missions now have burning effects when they are destroyed. I need to run one of those missions to see this. For housing and decorations, the long Umbari marble ramp decoration item can now only be used in enormous yard hooks, interior wall hooks, and interior furniture hooks.
Okay, I was thinking about that because I was thinking about it when you read it last time. I was like, surely that was a mistake. So, having seen what fits in the enormous yard hooks,
Right?
how on earth are you fitting that marble ramp into your interior wall hooks or furniture hooks?
Well,
Does it shrink? Or does it
that's
clip
the only
out of
thing
your house?
I'm thinking that it most likely shrinks. That I guess that interior ramp might be smaller. That I don't really know. I've never tried placing one of those things.
Me neither. That was my curiosity. I was like, I've seen what goes in enormous yard hooks, and those things are gigantic.
Yes.
I
Well, there's a reason.
can't imagine it inside a house. But okay, that was my 2 cents on
Yeah,
that.
you mean like there's one that's an entire barn, for example?
Right? Like, how could I shrink that down? Could I shrink that down and stick it in my house? I
All
would.
premium.
It would look
Okay.
cool. Okay, I'm done.
All premium neighborhood brokers and the Umbari Ikaban furnishers now exchange housing writs and mithril coins for homesteading coins. And the Umbar Ikebani furnitures now accept homesteading coins instead of writs for their barter purchases. And what do we have for items and rewards?
Barter costs have been adjusted for many pieces of generic uncommon and rare skirmish equipment bartered with marks and medallions. Many pieces of level 60 equipment were giving invisible stat benefits beyond what their tooltips suggested, This has been fixed, so your character stats should update in accordance with the values seen on your equipment. I'm still a fan of invisible stat benefits. The Mariner's Epic Heligrad armor set now correctly has a set bonus effect. Level 65 rewards. Equipment for level 65 has been revised, and some items now have slightly different stats to better reflect current class designs. Completing instances from the Mirkwood cluster at level 65 will once again award you with medallions of Dol Guldur. Completing instances from the In Their Absence cluster at level 65 will once again award you with medallions of the Northmen. Note, not all barter vendors are updated to give you more items on which to spend these medallions. Raid armor sets can no longer be acquired with marks and medallions. You will need to earn the corresponding raid barter tokens by completing the raids at level 65 in order to barter for these equipment sets. As with level 50 and 60 this past year, sets are in the process of being revised with current class designs in mind. In particular, heavy armor classes are likely missing raid set bonuses entirely in this build, so don't worry if you try to check those out and find them mysteriously blank at the moment. Level 60 set bonuses were erroneously capped at a max level of 69 and have been corrected to have max levels of 64. Mirkwood and In Their Absence instance chests have been reconfigured to drop their original loot for instances run at level 65 with a few changes. Items should now be fellowship tradable for 1 hour if they were not previously. Raid chests can now only be opened once before you are locked, and locks reset 3 times a week, on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Instant chests can now only be opened 10 times daily before you are locked, with the exception of challenge chests, which are still 1 time daily. A handful of chests are not finished being updated. This includes non-final boss chests in Stoneheight, North Cotton Farm, Sari Surma, and the Lost Temple.
And as for PvMP and the Entmoors, monster players' damage and healing has been increased by about 7.5%. Monster player traits and effects have been updated to item level 525 equivalent value. For the landscape, the mailbox and mustering horn will no longer appear in the Sigilith in the Dark instance. Various terrain textures issues in Eriador have been corrected. Various decorative and floating resources nodes issues in Kudzagin have been fixed. Various
no more. That means no more levitating ore.
Oh, you enjoy making fun of levitating ore, don't you?
Oh yeah, I had a whole song for it.
Yes. Various pathing issues in Utagbur have been resolved, and Wildemore now displays as Wildemore when entering the region
Jared,
and on the stable master panel. As for localization in French, secure the landing of Kur Anzar turn-in dialogue now displays properly, and translations for light damage in French have been updated for the umpteenth time, I think, or something.
It's like the 4th time, yes.
Yeah. As for art and avatars, the command in the tooltip on the grant the epic coin flip emote item has been corrected to read /coin flip _epic and fixed a bug with guards carrying lit torches to cause terrain lighting to flicker. As for miscellaneous updates, the virtue cap has been increased to 96 for level 150 players. NPCs inside the House of Craft, Minas Tirith Midsummer will no longer use incorrect pre-battle voiceover audio. All banker NPCs can now repair items. Ooh. Lorien now displays properly in the Basics of Birding Guide, and gamma brightness and contrast adjustments are now available in windowed mode. As for known issues, the French titles Luckmaker and Luck Stealer have the incorrect translations in game as and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that. And
I will. Lame cache, lame volus. We'll see if that's right. I'm sure if it's wrong, somebody will tell us.
Right. And they will be up. And what are they going to be updated to? Yes.
Creator, creatrice de fortune, and voleur, voleuse de fortune.
All right. And they'll be updated in a subsequent update. There you go. And that is it for the report on the release notes for Update 44 Crown of Hamat. Well, not only did they release Update 44, they also had a beta for Bull Roarer for 44.1, and essentially what that's all about is for essentially some refreshes they're doing. That's the main thing they're talking about is that's where they are going to actually have the 6-player instance at. So I'm not going to go through all of these at this time since I think we already discussed those earlier. But I do have a link to the patch notes if you're interested in that. And as we mentioned earlier, this is the 18th anniversary. So the 18th anniversary is now available. We do have a link to the official guide that they have in there where they go through a lot of the stuff that we talked about before, including some screenshots of the items that are for the rewards around this round. So,
And
update.
there are also pictures of how all of the cosmetics and stuff die on Fibro Jedi's anniversary event guide as well.
Of course, he seems to always be nice and thorough for that particular item.
Yep.
So you could go to Fibro Jedi for that. And we also have updates to Lalia's Market, as I said earlier. So we do have So we do have updates on Lalia's Market, but Cordovan did post a note that we are making an adjustment to the game worlds that will temporarily prevent 4 of the bundles in the housing selection in Lalia's Market from opening while they correct an issue with delivery. The all-encompassing World Travelers Runners bundle, the World Travelers Throw Rugs bundle, the Ornate Warriors Shields Displays bundle, and the Cozy Cushions of Moria bundle will be able to be opened after their next game update, which apparently looks like it's going to be May 7th, based on what we heard earlier. Players who already have opened these bundles should contact customer service to retrieve their missing items, because apparently there was an issue in opening those 4 particular bundles. So maybe you should refrain from getting any housing bundles from Lalias for the next couple of weeks. So I have a feeling a lot of people are still trying to figure out what are they going to do with their houses, because of all the transfers and all of that stuff.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you have your house perfectly in shape yet after the
No.
moves? Yeah, I didn't think so and I certainly don't either.
Say, I definitely on Wednesday was like, Em has no space. If I leave, I'm gonna just drop stuff on the house and come back. So I just emptied all her housing stuff onto random hooks in the house. It was like, peace, yo. I would have to go back and look at it, and I do need to get it in tip-top shape. But for the moment, it is just random and chaotic. So,
All right. Now, I've also heard that they are currently trying to get Sting up, and they're thinking that it might be up as early as next week. So it may be an extra week on top of that if things go wrong. And believe me, in this whole thing about transferring to 64-bit servers, when has something not gone wrong?
fair.
So let us not bet on it coming out next week, but it is possible that it could come out as soon as next week. But let's go into store sales, and what's on sale this week?
On sale this week, you have double bonus points through May 4th in the LOTRO store. Twice as many bonus points. Accelerate your adventure and get 25% off select Gift of the Valar packs, Gift of the Valar level boost, and Mithril coins through May 1st. And then the weekly coupon is for 1 free Umber, Umber guy with the code Tough as Terrain, TOUGHASTERRAIN. And if you didn't catch that, it is in the show notes. Also through May 1st.
Thank you, Cinders. Yes. Umber does have this little problem of
Sounding like
people are,
Umbar.
Umbar, yes. A lot of people are probably going to be tempted to say that due to the area that we were running through last year. So let's then head into our week in gaming. Cinders, what were you up to?
Uh, so we I did three different things this week without having tons of time to play. We talked briefly about playing the new Crown of Hamat instances and starting that storyline, and then being like, Pine Leaf, would you be okay if we just finish this and go do something else? Because it just feels weird to be out in the middle of nowhere and having all these people coming in and out. I know we saw at least 5 individuals that were on the exact same quest as us out in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, this just doesn't seem right. Um, and then in thinking about it, I was like, oh, right, because the last one we were, in Western Gondor, so you have the big cities with all the little NPCs milling around. So having extra people in and out of it just felt more natural and normal than being out in the wilds with that many people around when you weren't in a fellowship with all of them. So then we played Dinkum. That's what I forgot to put on here, but that's okay. We played a little bit of Dinkum to finish that out. And then we played Stardew Valley. I played a little bit on my own. I just finished day 27 of Spring 1, and then I played with Pine Leaf, and we are in summer of Spring, or summer of Spring 1. No, that doesn't make sense. We are in summer of year 1. And I am currently chasing the elusive lightning rod in order to harness the power of the summer storms and keep them from zapping my plants. I might have had a melon zapped, and I'm still slightly salty about that. And then I played some Enshrouded with my son and my sister and Krister. And we focused on getting skill points, some new NPCs, and after our last NPC acquisition, I discovered that the NPC dormitory in the basement of Krister's house was not sufficient to hold the new NPCs we were acquiring. And so I spent some time building out the base and creating a 9-room dormitory above the storage rooms. So the other thing that I discovered as I was doing it is that we are now on a corn moratorium in the game for a while because I have over 1,000 corn cobs and I am running out of space to put them. So, Sans wanted corn, Sans got corn, and I am now saying, no more! Until we're down under 800. Because it's a lot of corn. Anyhow, so that was my week in gaming. Pine Leaf, how was yours?
All right. Well, I ran the new missions in Iridir and started the new storyline, both on my own and also where we had the very, very beginning with Cinders also. The merry crew on the Academy field trip headed deeper into Western Gondor. And they were thinking, oh, don't worry, let's just do the epic. Now we're getting to a point where we're getting close to Dol Amroth, and we're about level 93. And so we went into that elf port that's there, trying to get by all those corsairs that are there. And they are like red and purple. So it's like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Those are Sans' favorite colors in LOTRO.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Sad she was not with you.
Yes. So we had quite a time. Now, it was even worse because a couple of our players are running under the hardened traveler rules.
Oh.
So red mobs under hardened traveler is much tougher because know. So you had the ISR coming up periodically, so you already had to worry about that, and in fact, it was such an ordeal that the person who insisted on doing this whole thing in Hard Traveler went to a starter area and turned it off because of how bad it was. So yeah, we were a few levels under for the zone that we were in. So maybe we'll go back and maybe fill in a few extra quests or something like this so that we can be at a more appropriate level as we go through the area. And then in Stardew Valley, in addition to what I did with Cinders on my single player one, I managed to reach several nice milestones over the last week. I finally got to the bottom of the mine, which is good. And I also did that quarry mine and got the golden sickle from there. I have done a little bit of the skull mines, but I haven't gotten very far on that one because they're really, really tough on there. So maybe I could do better the next time in there because I do have the Galaxy Sword now. And it took me forever to get a prismatic shard. I mean, I am currently in fall of my 4th year. And I think it took me until late summer before I got the Galaxy Sword. And that's pretty late, basically, because I keep on seeing people get it in their first year and stuff like this. And there, nope. It took forever for me to get my first prismatic shard. And the fact that I had only one, I was even a little bit wondering what to do is because the final bundle, the Joja bundle, that bundle, one of the you need 5 out of 6 of the items in there. One of those items in there was a prismatic shard, and I was just one from finishing that, and I was trying to get enough gold star. I think they were ancient fruit, so I need get 5 gold star ancient fruit in there, and I was having also a bit of trouble in there. I was like, okay, now am I going to get the Galaxy Sword or am I just going to get this in there? But I had already gone through the trouble of planting 8 quality crops for ancient fruit. So I figured, okay, I am going to get those 5 gold ones in there. So I decided to get the Galaxy Sword with that prismatic shard. So I did get it. So I have a real nice weapon now. And I opened up the movie theater and was able to see my first movie in there. So I think that's a lot of progress in 1 week.
It is.
Yeah. And that's it for my week in gaming. If you have any feedback for us, you can send it to podcast@lotraplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we record Lotra Players News. And we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You guys choose our shows at lotraplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight then. This is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.